Yo, so there is a new CG that's been going on for a couple days now over here in this system. Dawn or Dan or something like that. It's an Imperial system with only 5.5 million people in it, but effectively all that's happening here is a pirate attack. Now, what's funny is there actually isn't a attack state that's been put on the system, but there are apparently an increased amount of pirates. We got a lot of new people coming to the game, so we're going to be exploring the system, seeing what's going on. We're also going to take a look at the sim to see what's going on in the back end, because people are messing with this a lot. I am in the new Corsair. I love this thing. It's kind of becoming my favorite ship just by its nature. I've been looking for a Python competitor for a long time, and I really thought that the Cobra Mark V was going to be a Python competitor, but when they announced it was actually small instead of medium, I actually lost interest in it, even though I think that's what made it interesting to a lot of people. But here we got the Corsair, which is what I was actually looking for. Now, for a PvE build, so this is a lot of PvE piracy that we're dealing with, I'm going with a pretty basic loadout, multis and beam lasers. My beam lasers are overcharged flow control. I'm sure that there's somebody in the comments that's going to remind me that this is a horrible engineering choice or something, because I'm not that great at engineering, but I can generally make my way around with things like armor. But weapons, I'm going to be honest, I'm not too knowledgeable on the weapon pool for this kind of thing. We are using engineered shield boosters as well, heavy duty super cap. This one's thermal resistance. I'm going to be honest, my shield boosters I just kind of scrapped off of another ship. Same with my shield. I just kind of threw together the shield as well. It's just rapid charge, recycling cell. Oh my god, it's grade 3? I didn't even... Okay, well, I guess the build isn't done. I thought I didn't finish it. I'm an idiot. And I built this ship for resistances. So we have all of the class 5s here. Heavy duty, hull, except for the smallest one, which is our final one here. That is thermal resistant deep plating. We also have a module reinforcement here, but you can't engineer those. So the reason I've done that is because my armor, if we go to the core, is reactive surface composite, which, as you can see, gives us a lot of kinetic and explosive, but reduces thermal resistance, which we make up for with the smallest hull reinforcement being put on thermal. But otherwise, it is just heavy duty, grade 5, of course, with deep plating, which helps a little bit against that thermal resistance, but we really get a lot of those percentages back with the reinforcement. So, for example, if we scroll to the bottom here, we are at 3,900 armor, which isn't bad, but it's those resistances, which is like 40% across the board, except for explosive, which is a little bit lower than that, but it's basically there. We can round up for the sake of fun. Now, my shield is garbage. It's 1,200 at 24%, 54 and 45. That's unbalanced and not even finished. I can't believe it's grade 3, but this is plenty good enough to do PvE bounty hunting in, and quite frankly, our hull is tanky enough that even if I run into a ganker, I have a feeling I will survive. Either that or I won't, and I'm not too upset about it. I got enough money I can afford a rebuy or two. I am going to switch to open play and subject myself to what might be going on there. There's currently 4,300 people on. We are in kind of the lull period of the day. It's not quite as low as it'll get, but it's pretty low. I'm recording at night. We had 10,000 people on today, though, which was pretty awesome. Which, by the way, in 2021, seeing 10,000 people concurrently was like unheard of. If we go back a few years, look at how low it was at. But anyway, of course, my thrusters are also maxed out and everything like that. We're okay. We're overall pretty good. I still can't believe that I didn't finish the shield, but whatever. I'm sure we're going to be fine. I don't really anticipate getting ganked because I'm going to be honest, gankers don't tend to go after ships that are built. If they see you in a well-built ship or even one built for PvP, they are less likely to pull you over than they would be if you're in a hauler or in like some unmeta build using like C-rated modules for some reason. If you look newer in your building skills, you are more likely to get harassed by gankers. For example, a friend of mine built a Packhound Corsair, and because of that, he just wasn't getting pulled over because nobody wanted to mess with him, which is understandable because Packhounds are ridiculous. But anyway, the actual contact for the CG is over here in Kid Station. So we're going to go look at those statistics for a second, and then we'll go kill some pirates. I also want to take a look at the simulation information in the system so we can see what players are up to and the consequences of that. Last I checked, there was a war that broke out, which is not untypical for systems that are currently under Yeah, right here, we got conflict zones. Pretty typical to see a system go into a war state or something like that whenever a CG happens in them, because since there's just so many people concentrated in one system, actions are happening more, which causes more states. People are doing a lot of pirate killing. Depending who those pirates belong to, like if it's, let's say a pirate faction owned the majority of this system before the CG happened, because the CG is in relation to killing pirates, if they just so happen to belong to a certain government, then that government will get damaged, and thus it will lower its influence to that of another government. And if they meet influence, it means that they're at war. I'll get into that once we look at the data. So for those of you that haven't done a CG before, all you got to do is open the starport services at the respective station where it's being held. Click on the mission board. Up top here, you will see community goals, and this is where it's going to give you the information. So we got defeat pirates in planetary rings of dawn. This is Kid Station, and I've already contributed 2.8 million, which has put me in the top 75%. Similar to Power Play, this is a tiered reward system, which means the higher percentage of players you are in for the effort of the goal, the higher your rewards will be. For example, global rewards here, there's a monetary reward, which this is scaling kind of weird, but also global rewards. This is usually a exclusive module. Also, there's this information tab here. This gives us the lore basically as to what's going on, which whenever a community goal happens, it's usually considered canon to the story. And if there's a player group involved, then being in a community goal is kind of like the signature of being canonized by the developers in the Elite lore, which is, you know, kind of a big deal because, you know, this goes back to the 80s, like in real life. But anyway, the top reward here is like 300 million. That's the top 10 people. But down here, 230 million for the top 25% is really good. And I think you can realistically, as a new player, even get top 50% and then get yourself 200 million bucks, which is a huge amount of money for somebody early game. And considering piracy in this game isn't that hard, especially if you have a little bit more experience, I think it's well worth the investment. It's just a fun thing to do. As you can see, there's already like 10,000 people that have participated in this event nearly, and it goes up every day. Yesterday it was at like 7,500. It's becoming obvious that pirates are growing bolder in recent weeks. We've received alarming frequent reports of attacks and looting throughout our system's many planetary rings, icy rings in particular. Our security forces are overwhelmed, and the Imperial Navy is occupied in other areas. So these guys are Imperial, that's what this little logo means, which by technicality means that the Imperial Navy should support them. And honestly, if you were to go into the conflict zones, there's a chance you'll see an Imperial naval vessel there. So right here, we can see that the exclusive module to this event is one fully A-rated kill warrant scanner, which has engineering on it, fast and long range modifications. Now, I'm going to be honest, I've never used a kill warrant scanner in my life, so I don't really know if I'm going to use this at all, but I don't mind a couple $100 million bucks. So that's what I'm here for. You also get a couple paint jobs for the clipper and cutter. The campaign begins on the 10th of April, which was 3 days ago, and will run for 2 weeks. So there's still plenty of time left. If you haven't jumped in, don't worry. It's been a couple days. You can still absolutely hop into the event and have some fun. Please note that if you have any crew members, a proportion of your bounty vouchers will be automatically assigned to them. Yeah, that's just for people that run in squadrons and multi-crew, which is pretty rare, but I'm sure there's people out there doing. Anyway, there's 5 tiers of rewards. Now, we have unlocked tier 4, so also, again, a part of that tiered reward system is the more that the whole community does warrants higher rewards. We've made it to tier 4. I don't know what's coming at tier 5. So let's go kill some pirates. Let's make a couple million, get ourselves some of that sweet, sweet credit, and then I will look at the simulation and we can kind of get a look of the land and what's going on in the system. And if anything super interesting happens, I might even make a follow-up video, because the last CG that we had that I unfortunately didn't get to participate in had a whole bunch of stuff going on. There was like weird states that were being incurred and some confusion. I just love it when the sim does weird stuff in this game. It just makes it so much more interesting. As it said in the info, we're going to go into the system map here. We have to look for icy rings. Now, this planet right here is a gas giant with rings. So we're going to click planetary information, and right here we can see that it has 2 rings. The A ring, which is the closest to the planet, this one right here, is metal rich. So that's not really what we're looking for, although we probably could go there. We're looking for this one right here, which is an icy ring. It's the B ring, which is the outer ring. If there was another ring out here, it would be the C. Right here, we also have an icy body as well. Now, with planetary rings, you don't actually really need to have any skill with landing. You can literally just crash right into it and you'll lose like one hull, just like this. It's perfectly fine to do it this way if you don't mind losing out on one hull. Oh, I'm 125 kilometers away. Is this a criminal just chilling way out here with me? Maybe he was following me. Gonna do a little graze there. He's already down to 67% shield. Because we are fighting a crate, it's got such a thin profile that it's kind of hard even for gimbaled weapons to consistently hit him unless we're like kissing him basically like we're doing right now. Now this is just a dangerous NPC, which means he's probably only like A rated if I had to guess. The only time you really start earning a substantial amount of money or anything like that is with like deadly to elite NPCs. He's actually trying to run right now. We're going to get right up on him so he gets mass locked. And now he's dead. And I'm also overheating. There we go. 322k. What the hell? Oh, no. I can't. I just melted my modules. Oh my God. I did some damage. I'm probably going to start experiencing some malfunctions. So I was clicking the keybind to show network information so I could see if there were players nearby because you can tell if the bitrate's particularly high. And yeah, it's the same button as shield cell bank, which just absolutely melts your ship if you don't time it well with a heat sink. So that was a complete L. Dumb mistake or not, I'm not going all the way back to the station. We're going to open fire on these guys. Whoa. Oh, wow. He died on that pass. That's crazy. One last guy on his team. He had like a 3-man wing. He's shooting at somebody else. Oh, he's a novice. He's got like, yeah, he's kind of a pushover. There he goes. Now, fun fact for any of you that are also new and are desperate for engineering materials, you can get some of your early ones, some of your lesser engineering materials, just by picking up stuff that these guys drop. Like there's for example, right there's a grade 3, which isn't horrible. Focus crystals. If you bring a limpet controller and some cargo space, you can farm those. And they don't take up cargo, and you also don't lose them when you die. So it's always worth doing. He's a wanted eagle. Oh my God. Wow. All right. Got a sidewinder up here. A harmless sidewinder. And he's wanted. What are these little criminals, dude? And he's dead. I'll get like 10 million credits and turn that in, see how much that's worth in the CG. We're already at 3 million, so that's pretty good. This shadow flashing is absolutely insane. Shadows have been bugged for like 2 years, man. If you ever are desperate to see if you can fix the flashing, you can just change the quality setting around and hope you find something that isn't freaking out. I know this is a problem that everyone's been dealing with, and FDev just hasn't seemed to figure out. Oh, we got some combat. God, I love how fast this ship is. It's actually just disgusting. It's disgusting how fast this ship is. You're an NPC. You have a name that seems like a player. I wonder if this is an early donator back when Elite was just a Kickstarter campaign. See you later. A lot of low tier pirates. A surprising amount of them. We saved this guy though. Saved Randolph Carter's life, and he works for Donbridge PLC. Not in a team. You're not with the same people, but you're also a criminal. Oh, you got chaff. Unfortunately, though, we can just use fixed and still shoot him. We can barrel stuff him. Oh my God! Oh, you're dead. And that's his death. Don't tell me we got another like little sidewinder criminal. We do. He's in a team. And there he goes. Oh, we got actually a deadly NPC that was in his team. So this is somebody with actual, like, modules that are probably A-rated and stuff. He might not have engineering. I know elite NPCs do. He might not. Nah. Probably not engineered. Not quite the strongest. All right. One more hostile. It is a deadly sidewinder. That is adorable. And he's dead. Now, you see that my shield's at 15%? Fun fact, if you do a little thing, you have to be out of combat to do this. You can't be taking damage. But if we go ahead and put all of our pips in system, I'm just going to boost away here. And if we go over to our ship tab and reboot repair under functions, as long as we have all of our system pips in place and we're not getting actively shot when we do this, we will come back online with 50% shield. And there we go. An elite criminal. He's actually kind of getting beat up, to be honest, but I want that bounty. I want that bounty. Oh my God, he almost ran into me. We're getting a little hot. Oh, he actually heat sinked there, and I couldn't target him. Interesting. Yeah, fun fact, by the way, again, for all you newbies out there, the targeting in this game is based on heat. That's why silent running is called silent running, and it basically blasts your heat. It's because you are shutting all your heat vents effectively, masking your heat signature, which makes it so ships can't target you. It also makes it so they can't scan you for being a criminal if you're at a station. Lame. All right, he is a criminal with the Don Silver Boys. Now, actually, what's weird is the Silver Boys are at war right now. I know that because I went into one of the conflict zones earlier, and they're technically a pirate faction, but I guess the soldiers that are fighting in the conflict aren't criminals. They just belong to a criminal government. So that's why they don't drop bounties. They drop normal conflict zone vouchers. What is with these eagles and running away? I mean, I guess I killed them so quick. That would be why, but they're running away a lot. You know, it'd be really cool if I got to see NPCs like core mine and stuff. They only seem to laser mine. Hatred? Okay, he's an elite. You're definitely a criminal. Oh my goodness. You might be an elite, but your ship doesn't feel like it. Ooh, I am taking a lot of damage to my shields though, so these guys are no slouch. This guy kind of is though, I'm not gonna lie. Honestly, there's quite a few people engaging me. Oh! Might actually take some hull damage here. Yeah, this is a PSA for all of you that like are bad at engineering like me, man. Finish your shields. Look at what's happening. I'm about to lose it. Just GG. See you later, buddy. You got one last friend. Also another Cobra. This one's elite. I probably should have prioritized you first. I said this earlier, but maybe didn't make it clear enough. Elite NPCs have engineered modules. Dangerous NPCs, I don't think do, but they have higher grade modules, and I believe deadly is A-rated or something like that. But the big difference between them is their skill level and the actual modules on their ship, which is why if you've ever played in a high intensity conflict zone, even with like a pretty good A-rated big ship, you're still going to struggle, because if it's not engineered, these guys are, so you just are kind of outmatched, unfortunately. Boink. There he goes. All right. I did a little bit of unnecessary damage to my hull there, but again, we just got to do that reboot repair and make sure our pips there are in system, and we will get all of our shield back, or at least 50% of it. If you have a bank, just use that. 5.6 million. We're getting there. Oh, we got another one of you. Ramming. Bonk. It's going to scratch their hull up. Just give them a nice signature. Honestly, I should demonstrate a little bit of sub-targeting for the noobs out there. Okay, on this Viper here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Target, and I'm going to select Drive, which is their engine. And if you do that, you can actually damage specific modules on their ship, and if you manage to knock the module out, it will actually deactivate it. Now, this guy, since he's a small ship, might be able to outmaneuver me, so I'm not sure if I'm actually going to be able to knock out the engine. But if we do, he will actually basically not be able to move. He'll be just suspended there, just floating out either until I kill him, or I can literally leave him until his oxygen runs out, which is particularly brutal. Oh, I killed him before I could even get to his modules. Ah! I hit an asteroid! Ah! Whew! I tell you, man, I love doing that. I don't know why. I don't know why bonking ships is so much fun. Now, I honestly took way more damage, and it took way longer than I thought it would. My time to kill isn't horrible, but my heat management really quite is pretty horrible. I also think I need to set up a better pip system than I have right now. So anyway, let's head back to Kid Station and see how much what percentile about 10 million gets us in. It'll be about 13 million in total when I submit it. As you can see, because I've killed so many pirates in the system, this is now glowing green, which means that they're allied with me, or friendly with me at least, because I've done a lot of work for them. And again, we will see some of that sim impact as well. All we're going to do is go into the contacts, the administrative contacts, And right here, bounty vouchers, 10.175 million. And if we head back to our community goals section here, we are now in the top 50%, and we're going to get about 200 million. There's still so much time left to this CG that if I stop, I'm probably going to get bumped back down to 75%. So I might come back to continue this. I might even make another video on this so we can see how the Sims changed. But now that we're done hunting pirates ourselves for today, let's go ahead and open a website called Inara. Inara is an incredible website used for a bunch of things. It's mostly a database. People love using it for the trade routes and stuff like that. But I personally like using Inara the most for its data on current BGS stuff. So for example, if we click the Galaxy tab right here, we're going to see that the extreme threat system under the security report currently has hundreds of crimes committed, as well as over 100 criminals actually getting killed and then having being sent to a prison ship and stuff like that. Now, the traffic of this website is reported by people that have a connector installed to their game, like a third-party connector that updates Inara's database. So this is not the actual reflection of how many people are here, but you can kind of make guesses off of it, you know? So if we click on the system name Dan or Don, you can see that we have some system information here. Now, there's currently only 4 native factions in this system, which makes sense. There can be a max of 7. There's only 5.5 million people here, which isn't a huge amount of population. We got about 2,000 Inara commanders coming in the last day. This number was probably substantially higher on day 1. And we're having a civil war right now. Now, what a civil war means, as opposed to a normal war, is that 2 native factions, which are factions that were born in this system, are currently having a fight with each other. Now, as you can see, this inf number here, 11%, that is the amount of influence any given faction has in a star system. Now, a faction also might be called the government, because as you can see, the Silver Boys faction is anarchy, whereas PLC is a corporation, which basically have different criteria. If they were both corporate governments, they actually would be having an election right now and not a war. If they were both anarchy, though, they would still have a war. As of day 2, I don't remember how long wars last. I think it's like a week or something like that, or like, 5 days. Currently, Dawnbridge PLC is winning, and the Silver Boys here are losing. Now, because the Silver Boys are an anarchy faction, they're likely populating a lot of the pool of pirates, which means their faction is getting weaker because people are currently hunting pirates a lot in this system, and a lot of these guys are probably criminals. And yeah, Bridge PLC is 2 days ahead right now, so they're gonna win. I mean, it's pretty much said and done. It's not necessarily over at 2 days. Not even close, but because of just the amount of people hunting pirates, Silver Boys are probably going to lose. Now, what does that mean? You can see right here, asset on defeat. Each side wagers a bit of territory. So, for example, Dawnbridge right here, if they were to lose, let's say the Silver Boys have a major comeback, which is possible, especially if players start fighting for them, which you can do. That would mean that Robert's Beacon, which is an actual settlement in the game, would instead be owned by the Silver Boys. And vice versa, if the bridge wins, which is likely, then they would take control of Osterbrock Orbital, which is an outpost station floating over a planet. And this is how people fight for systems. Now, this graph right here is just a visual representation of the influence. Now, there is a maximum amount of influence as 100% in a system, and that 100% is shared between these guys. If you have 20% in a system and then go to 30%, you took that 10% away from somebody else, because there's only 100% to go around. So these two guys, because they've met influence at 11%, these guys are going to fight. And then if Bridge PLC here was to go on after 11%, and then meet 22% here with the Green Party of Dawn, or meet somehow if Green Party was taken down, then they would fight. And at the top, we have the Empire League. Now, like I mentioned earlier, the Empire League is not currently fighting in this war, and they own the majority of the system, which means the system isn't actually registered as existing under war. And they're pending an expansion right now. So once this expansion comes into place, then the system will be registered as an expansion system, and there will be some extra either gameplay loops or opportunities for collection of certain materials and stuff like that, because it's dependent on the state. But by this graph, you can see that somewhere around the 7th of April, they had a spike in influence, which is interesting because that was before the CG started. So maybe the NPCs started doing a little bit of movement. Now, when a faction moves on its own, I call this NPC traffic or NPC movements. And because I imagine players weren't really messing with this system before the CG happened, then this is probably NPCs doing stuff like this. And because these guys rose in influence, it took away from these guys' influence, if that makes sense. You can see it correlates because there's only 100% of influence to go around. So if you take some, someone else loses some. And these guys have been losing and these guys have been taking. Now, this is a Denton-Petraeus system, which is the political affiliation, which isn't necessarily the same as the government that has the most influence. So if we go to the galaxy map here, and then click on power play, and I'm just going to toggle it here, we can see that this system isn't actually currently owned by anybody, but Denton-Petraeus has taken it in the last cycle with over 600,000 merits. So there's actually quite a focused effort from Denton to take it. Nobody else is even competing. And because they've crushed this basically, when the next power play cycle happens, which is every Thursday, this will update and Denton will take control of the system politically, which is different from the government that actually resides over the influence of the system. Those can be different. And up here, you can see that this is Denton-Petraeus space. So it's not surprising that they're expanding down here. Technically, we got a little bit of Ashling Duval traffic, but this is pretty much Denton space. We got a stronghold right here. And with some activity, 20,000, which means there's people working a little bit over there. A little bit of undermining, not much. But yeah, this traffic is basically Denton right here. But anyway, that's some of the interesting stuff going around this system. Now, because there's 2 weeks in this event, it means we get to see a lot. We're going to see 1 to 2 power play cycles pass, which means we'll see Denton take over the system. We'll also probably see quite a bit of difference happen with the BGS, which is the influence going on in the system that I was talking about. And so I might actually make a video covering this system again when the update is getting ready to close. I'm probably also going to grind a little bit more in this system because I do want to get in the top 25%. But anyway, thank you for tuning in. This video was the first on my second channel, which is a brand new channel. If you don't know who I am, my main is Indigo into Black. I make a little bit more of a dedicated focused story arc based content on there, as well as some of the bigger tutorials that I have and stuff go on that channel. But this channel is a bit more casual, a bit more gameplay focused, a bit more real time in the moment, because there's a lot of stuff that's been going on, but they don't necessarily make up like a 20-minute story video or like a deep speculation piece or anything like that. And this channel would be perfect for that. I have a lot of videos I want to make, but I don't because I'm afraid they're not big enough scope for the main channel. So that's where that stuff is going to go on here. This channel will probably see a whole lot more content than the other one, but my big fancy content will go on the main. So if you're interested, feel free to stick around. I intend on making, like I said, a lot more content for this channel, a lot more frequently. I have some BGS stuff that I'm getting into with a public YouTuber group. For anyone familiar with the Burr Pit, he has a public BGS that he runs with his PMF, the Burrian Protectorate, I think is what they're called. I'm probably going to fool around with their BGS a little bit, probably help them and make some videos about it, because I think the BGS is a really underrated portion of the game. So look out for that. I'm going to have a lot of fun with that. I also will probably be covering power play a lot more on this channel. On my main, I piloted the idea of a series that covers a lot of weekly power play movements. Because of the way that channel works, I was kind of afraid that that series would dominate the upload schedule. And I didn't necessarily want that for that channel, for it to just kind of be dominated by one series. So I'd rather do it over here where, you know, I'm a little more freeform with what content comes up. Anyway, I'm not going to waste any more time talking about that. Thank you for tuning in. If you liked it, be sure to tune in next time. We're going to play around more with Elite. I appreciate you. I'll see you around.